A teenage girl who got shot in the leg while doing her homework, blasting New York City Mayor Eric Adams on rising crime. The 15-year-old was sitting at her dining room table when a trio of suspects fired a barrage of bullets outside of her home, piercing her shin after it blasted through her front door. She said this about Mayor Adams, quote, "It's kind of crazy how he thinks just getting homeless people off the subway will do anything to help the crime rates. It's hard. There's not much you can do to effectively get rid of these problems. It's terrible that we can say that we can expect it." That story comes amid other disturbing examples of crime. Chilling video shows the fatal knockout punch that led to a 61-year-old man in New York dying 5 days later. Police currently looking for 2 suspects. And another brutal video from Phoenix, Arizona shows a woman attacked while working at a wireless store. That man arrested, and she is recovering from her injuries at home. Well, I'm going to come to you about this. We obviously talk about this issue a lot, and the randomness of what's going on right now, it feels insurmountable.
That video just showed of the man who ended up dying. God, that is awful. You know, it's pretty, randomness is something I think good to focus on, because what you're talking about is the complete deterioration in people's quality of life. So it's not, the victims are not simply the people we see on the video. The victims are all of us that walk around in fear of that happening. And it's not irrational fear. The one thing you cannot do is mess with people's quality of life. And what are the issues that do that? We just did one of them. We talked about economy. All we talked about during the commercial break was gasoline prices and the price of everything rising. The 5 of us sat here and continued the conversation. Quality of life. Crime. You can't, before I get to crime, kids, don't mess with people's kids. You saw that in Loudoun County. Don't proselytize racism or trans philosophy to kids. People don't want that. And finally, don't make people fear for their life. You need evidence of it. Look at Chesa Boudin's recall in San Francisco. Even in San Francisco, as liberal as it gets, 60% said, I don't want to walk around in fear in the middle of a toilet, which are my public streets, and an open-air drug market. Don't mess with people's quality of life.
Judge, on the Chesa Boudin front, it sounds like we could get a recall in L.A. for Gascon. Do you think that this is something that we're going to start to see across the country?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And Will, you put it very eloquently. I mean, the truth is that people are fearful of walking, especially in big cities. Even if they don't think that they'll get, hit by someone, who knows what's going to happen if there's a gunfight and you're collateral damage of someone else's fight. But I think that the Chesa Boudin recall, and I think the future George Gascon recall in L.A. is an indication that people are paying attention because they're fearful, they're afraid. And let's move it to right where we're, the topic. We're talking about Eric Adams right now, the mayor of New York City, a police captain who was elected because everybody thought he would take care of crime. One of the things that he's really good at is being part of the nightlife in New York City. I've gone to several black tie things in New York City. Every one that I've gone to, he's been there all dappered up and all ready to make a speech and say how great New York is. I don't want to see him in another hot suit with another hot tie. I want to see him with his sleeves rolled up. I want to see him with a bunch of cops around him, not an entourage of highfalutin people. I want to see him go to every crime scene and call out Carl Heastie and Andrea Stewart Cousins, who won't change the bail law in New York, and Governor Hochul. I want him with a sign with all 3 every time there's a crime. Mayor Adams, if you give a damn about victims, I don't want to hear you talk. Start walking the walk.
David?
I'm with her.
She's got pipes. Wow.
You brought up
what?
Pipes. You brought up the Real Housewives. You brought up the Real Housewives. He was over here at Rock Center rubbing elbows with 2 Real Housewives from New Jersey. The least he could do is hang out with some people who actually live here in New York City. I live not far from here. And speaking of not fighting crime, not enforcing the law, there was a serial stabber right down the street from here. Dozens of busts, was released on bail twice because Alvin Bragg's office didn't file the indictments fast enough. It's happening over and over again right in this area. So these liberal leaders are governing cities where hardworking, taxpaying citizens do not want to live in a dangerous, violent, filthy, expensive hellhole, whether it's San Francisco or here. And the only way this changes, and I'll point to Daniel Enriquez, who was shot to death on a subway train, Goldman Sachs employee. Michelle Go, murdered, Deloitte employee, is to have these large corporations stand up and say, we are leaving. your tax base is disappearing. And when the money not only talks, but walks, then they start doing something. And stop inviting Mayor Adams to all these glittery openings.
Yeah.
Sean, any final thoughts?
I agree with Will. 76% of New Yorkers are in fear that they'll be a victim of violent crime. That's a real problem in your city. And if you don't have safety, you have nothing. And so liberals have taken on this new role of saying we want to reimagine everything, our genders, our families, but they're reimagining law enforcement, no cash bail, sentencing reform. And we've seen the consequences of reimagining law enforcement. It's been cataclysmic, right? Our cities aren't safe. We're letting violent criminals out of jail and not holding them on bond, and people get hurt. And the problem that I have with liberals is if your policies don't work, change it, Joe Biden, change it, Gascon, change your policies when you hurt people. But what's amazing is they sit back and are tied to the liberal policy as opposed to doing what's best for the people they were elected to serve. I don't get it as a conservative. Boom.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.